You're listening to the Tony Conley Morning Show, more compelling talk radio, 1320 WYLS and 1320WYLS.com. Rich Hurl here with you, filling in for Tony as we head on out to the McLaren Health Plan phone line and talk with Dr. Albert Pang. He's an optometrist and 1320 WYLS and Fox News radio expert. Good morning, doctor. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me this morning.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. Some interesting statistics coming out, and it brings about more meaning considering the time of the year that we're in. These toy-related injuries, they've gone up quite a bit over the last several years, haven't they?
Yes, it's true. And the funny, interesting thing is the toys are getting safer, but at the same time, injury related to toys are getting higher. You can hardly find a regular sort now. Everything is kind of foam, soft, and seems like, it's really safe. But again, injury to the eyes from the toys is still just as prevalent as before.
How bad is this rate of injuries that we're seeing these days?
As a matter of fact, the statistic is telling us that 1 in 10 eye injury is actually related to toys. So, toys in the thing that's like 3 categories. One is like because of sharp edges and pointed end. Second type is projectiles, such as airsoft gun, BB gun, as well as bow and arrow and crossbow. And lastly is related to baseball, softball, and baseball bats type of injury.
Does this problem reflect more on the kids or on the parents?
I tend to say that when I take the history of those kids coming in for treatment, is more to do with the parents is not as supervising as much as before. Most of them happen to children 5 years and under, because they're trying to grab hold of toys that's intended for your older sibling, and then they just want to be their big brother or big sister and pick it up and then use it in the wrong way and hurt themselves.
Elaborate more on some of these toys or activities that you talk about that children are getting injured in. You mentioned bicycling, and you mentioned like baseball, playing baseball.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other popular activities that contributes to these injuries?
Well, this year Hunger Games is very popular. So bow and arrow and crossbow are something you have to watch out for. And also, these are something that happened just, more in the recent, just the drone, the flying drone. And those blades that, when you turn the drone on, they kind of take off vertically. But then in the process, a lot of time the younger kids are so excited, they run towards it. And then the blade that is still, running, they sometimes are able to cause injury to the younger kid. And I hope they never happen, but those blades, you can imagine if they, cut the eye, what kind of consequence would that be?
If there has been more of an emphasis on safety, yet this rate of injuries continues to go up, what can parents and their kids do to avoid incidents, aside from some of the obvious of reading the labels that are on packages?
Yeah, I think 2 things always as parents is ask yourself is the toy at the right hand? Again, sometimes age is one thing, but maturity of the kid is the other thing. And also the second thing is the kid playing the right toys at the right place? A lot of times we just, play a certain toys, they are safe, but they just play at the wrong place. In a close quarter, a close environment, even a safe toy can cause about the injury. Like, just imagine if you're playing an airsoft gun in an indoor, when the pellets hit the wall and they can bounce off anywhere and then hit an innocent bystander. So always make sure toys is in the right hands, related to age, appropriateness, and then also make sure that the toys is played at the right place.
Is there a specific age group, doctor, in which many of these injuries are occurring?
Unfortunately, a majority of them is happened to children under the age of 5. And so you can imagine it's because, number one, they are at the age of curiosity, and number 2, they are also, they move real fast, and before the parents were able to get hold of them, accident happened already.
So the younger they are, the more likely they'll get hurt.
Yeah, I would say a big bunch of the eye injuries happen to younger kids age 5 and under.
And before we let you go, Doctor, do you see this upward trend continuing, or is there a way to bring the numbers down, just in an attempt to avoid them altogether?
I would say yes. For the statistic, in the past, decades, the incident actually increased too much. I think in the past 10 years they increased by 30%. That's too much. And then tips about avoiding them is always protective eyewear. If you're talking about games like playing board game, make sure that when you're playing baseball, especially younger kids that are not proficient in the game, make sure they have protective eyewear, and make sure that when they're playing any kind of game that's outside, like airsoft gun or bow and arrow, make sure they have good eye protection, polycarbonate type of protective eyewear, so they will not have any accident happen to them.
Dr. Albert Pang is an optometrist and 1320 WILS and Fox News radio expert. Dr. Pang, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
All right, thanks.
And thank you for joining us. It's the Tony Conley Morning Show. Rich Hurl filling in for Tony on More Compelling Talk Radio 1320 WILS and 1320WILS.com.